The GFC may be behind us, but there are many who fear Australia's banks haven't learnt the lesson from that crisis. While incomes stagnate, household debt has soared to new records. Household debt in Australia is now bigger than the entire annual output of the economy, the highest level in the world.
Mortgage debt has almost doubled since that report was written. Therefore, the problem is much, much bigger.
Look, I don't believe we are going to have a crisis, and nor do I believe we've got any lax lending standards. It is true that in Australia we do put a lot of our savings into our homes. That's been a long-standing situation, and we do have high house prices in Australia. But that's something that's monitored very closely by both the banks and the regulators.
There's no doubt about it at all. Australian households are massively indebted. Veteran bank analyst Brian Johnson is not predicting a crisis, but he is very concerned by recent research from the banking regulator, which says that if there was a house price crash, Australia's biggest banks wouldn't have enough capital to cover losses on mortgages. As I actually read the speech that APRA actually made, I've got to say it was probably one of the most disturbing things I've ever read. What they said was that the standardised banks, which is basically the regional banks, just passed. They said that the advanced banks, which is basically the major banks, that they said that they did not pass. They failed the stress test. Well, I would say did not pass means failed, but apparently I've been instructed by one of the banks that's not what it means, but it sounds like that to me. Did not. If my child came home and said I did not pass, I would say that means you failed. The banking watchdog is now fighting a rearguard action to rein the banks in, demanding that banks raise more capital, curb investor housing loans, and tighten lending standards. The banking regulator declined our request for an interview, but a senior official said today that it was a significant concern that the Big Four banks were so exposed to home lending. What happens to all the people who've taken on huge mortgages when interest rates are at historic lows if interest rates go back to normal?
They won't be able to service them. There will be wholesale defaults.
Had the lax lending standards of a decade ago played out the way the banking regulator feared, we could have seen a banking crisis back then. Was it prevented or just delayed?
There's a number of settings with interest rates and offshore lending that effectively could hold the market up for quite some time. But it's unimaginable that it can hold it up forever or for any significant